for an admin job, definitely like they will be looking for those certifications, those qualifications, somebody who's already worked with tools and technologies, what they are using they're already skilled in. So do not stress yourself like applying to thousands of jobs and like not knowing where your resume is going. So identifying jobs for your skills is very important. And then where to find these jobs, that is a big question. So you can find it on job boards, LinkedIn, and I would definitely say the major part which would act now is LinkedIn and consultancies and agencies. Because getting through ATS, applying online for different corporate, I think if you're aiming for a corporate job, you're applying online. So I would say get some connections on LinkedIn, get some referrals, and then apply. So uh, do some networking sessions as you all are joined here. I know, like, you're trying, and then you're applying directly on website. The most important part I would definitely say is tracking your applications. That is most important. You should know what happened to one job, what you've applied for you to move on. Like, don't stop. Okay, I've applied, I don't know, it has gone somewhere into a big hole, and then like you're just waiting and waiting. Don't wait. As soon as you apply, you've done your interview, uh, keep applying. It doesn't matter, one round, two rounds, even some people have done four rounds of interviews, but still they keep waiting. So you're losing that 2 weeks of time when you could have maybe applied and had a job offer by then. So next, let us go in detail about resumes. So there are different types of resume. Like if you see, you would have even heard functional resume. There will be like where you're just putting your skill sets, you're not mentioning where you have worked, or like particular job title. But I would definitely say, do not use much of a functional resume. Use a regular resume where you put in all your job titles, job descriptions, and have, like, the most effective resume I would say is wherein you have a professional summary to start off with, and then you have your technical abilities and skills for be it IT, project management, or anybody. You'll have your own technical abilities, and then like you'll put your professional work experience. So by date, so a month and year, and then you go forward like explaining in most recent to the latest one. Then tweaking your resume, we'll go back to that once we go in detail. And then feedback on your resume. Yes, definitely, like connect with people, ask feedback on your resume. This is one way to connect with a lot of people, I would definitely say. uh, Getting feedback on your resumes, that is very important. But also, trust me, I'm saying it right now, you will get hundreds of responses, hundreds of feedbacks on your resumes. But take what makes most sense to you, because everybody has to give some feedback. So there will be some, okay, here and there they will say something, doesn't mean that you have to take in everything. Take back what makes most sense to you. Always, like, when you hear something, see that okay, this is something I can utilize here. Where you can utilize it, do not let go of it. So how many different types of resumes each of you will have? I had at least 6 to 7 resumes. So, and then like I like shorten, and then in the end I had 2 to 3 resumes, because I had made myself very clear that I'm not applying for anything and everything. I'm only applying for these particular roles, and then you go forward from there. So I'll talk a little bit on ATS resume, because it is very important when you're applying online. So there are two things when you're applying for a recruiter, directly applying for a recruiter, or you're connecting with someone and sending your resume. It doesn't matter what font it is, or like, it does matter, trust me, but not to the T for an ATS. So you're already handing out your resume to someone. So definitely, I would say at that point of time, you don't have to worry so much about font type, or like, how your resume is, will that be picked up or not. You're directly sending them an email. But with ATS, definitely, like, as I say, when applying for a specific position, include the title of the resume. Be it, like, you put in your name, and below that put your title for what role you're applying. So that is how one thing the ATS picks up based on the title of the resume. And use the descriptors like phone, email. Do not put in the symbol. Why? Because in the ATS, it populates the data into a different file. So if you don't write phone, it will not recognize whatever matter after that is there as your phone number. So for a recruiter, there will be all those information left out on your file. So they will not like go through, because maybe not every uh, part of your resume is on their file. So always put in everything in descriptors, not any as a image, I would say. Then when listing dates for employment, put the dates to the right of the information or on a separate line. This is also very important for that to populate on your file for the recruiter. Then include section headers to make it easy for the ATS to categorize the information. So you should put it as a different sections like key achievements, or you have done anything, or tools used, or environment you have worked on. All those should be on a different headers for it to, like, catch hold of every key words that is there. So if you're working towards a degree or certification that is a requirement for this position, include it on the resume. But make sure you include it such as pursuing, and then you put it, or anticipated date, or graduating on. So always mention that even if you have not completed it. And also I would say, like, do not use any specific like special characters or accents. And even some words can be misinterpreted, and, like, it might not catch it. So there are different tools now, you can scan your resumes for ATS version. And also do not list your credentials after your name, because it when it populates, it will all get mixed up. So I have seen some people write, for example, Anisha MBA, and then whatever degrees you have done, CSE certified, or so all that next to their names. I would say skip that. And do not mix different fonts and sizes in your resume. Keep it one font and size throughout. Only maybe for your name you can put a different font. Otherwise, the rest, I would definitely say Calibri 11 is the best ATS font that you can use. And also, few other points I would like to add is no tables. Do not use any tables on your resume if you're applying for any ATS, through any ATS, any online application. No tables, I would say. Also, do not, like, I have seen people use the table and remove the border, like invisible borders. Don't do that. It still can see the tables. No lines, no borders. And yeah, I think this covers most of the ATS resume. And next, if we go, like, for LinkedIn, what, like, LinkedIn I used for networking sessions, live sessions, like, you can do personal connections. You can join some groups. Like, there are groups on LinkedIn for your own particular, like for HR there are certain groups, HRPA groups you can join. You can see what is happening in the current situation, how they are changing their policies. And if anybody there on in HR, I think there are some people on HR, you can request to join for HRPA groups, where you can keep yourself updated on what kind of policies and procedures they're using now during COVID, how they are changing their system to uh, make sure everything is going according to the safety regulations, workplace and safety, all those things they keep updating. In the same way, join the groups and like then make connections. You will know who is already working. You can have a connection there and start looking for your jobs. Again, it is used for personal branding and general information you can collect. So you have different resumes now. So how do you maintain it on one LinkedIn account? Let us say there is always this confusion of I have these titles on my resumes, but LinkedIn is different. How do I match? Will somebody see my resume and go back to LinkedIn and they say that okay it is not matching, or like how do I maintain that? Let us say I'll again go to HR because that is something what I am little bit aware of, or even for that say business analyst roles, project management roles. Project management business analyst would not be that of an issue. Let me think. Okay, I'll say somebody who is out of college now, they are looking for either technical support roles or entry level coding and development. So testing roles. What they'll do, have they'll have different resumes for each, but in LinkedIn, how will they show that? So I would say on LinkedIn, add all the skills, because when a recruiter is searching on LinkedIn for a profile, they'll look by skills. They'll search for skills. So add all the skills what you are looking for. Like let's say tester, developer, HR admin, HR coordinator. So keep your skills always updated. You can keep updating. Also, you can go to particular job postings and check what are the skills they are looking for and how much is it matching. If like out of 10 you have 6 skill set matching, look for the 4 which is not matching and update it. So keep updating your skills on LinkedIn. uh, on a resume wise, I'll say always keep a master resume, one which has all your experiences. Beat anything, have a master resume with all experiences. So this will help when you're applying for different roles. You are just copy pasting what is relevant from that to a different resume and you're applying for it. So let us say you're a business analyst, but you're applying for a project manager role. So you will write more on leadership qualities, communication skills, a little bit less on your business development, documents, what you have written, you can write. So have towards like all the points written in on a master resume and see what are relevant for this particular role. Just copy paste. This will help you save time when you're applying for different multiple job roles duties. Like for example in HR, if you're a HR generalist, you can do recruitment, you'll be applying for HR admin roles, you'll be applying for HR generalist roles or HR coordinator roles, resource coordinator roles. So everything has different responsibilities. Make sure all those responsibilities are in your master resume and just copy paste what is relevant to what you're applying for. And I have seen many resumes with pictures, no pictures on Beat, ATS format resume, or you're applying for anyone, no pictures on your resume. Because generally what happens is, be it a recruiter or anything, we have that like you cannot discriminate anyone based on where they're applying from, who is applying. So it is one way you can avoid yourself being like somebody can judge on some appearance or anything. No first impressions there, just your resume skill set, so no pictures. And experience, like I would definitely say keep these four in the same way, like in work experience. Below that, let me show one resume which I'll show it in the end. Once I finish, I'll show a resume which I feel is really good. I have one example. So always put it in title, your job title, be it business analyst, and which company you have worked, and then location, where you have worked, the country, and then what period. Like always put it as start and end both, month and year to month and year. If you're still working, it will be month and year to present, otherwise month and year to month and year. You like that is very, very important. So next, I'll any questions on till now? Anybody has any questions?
Yeah, I have one question, Mayuri. Prashant this side.
Yeah, please.
You said that we should have one font style and one font size across the resume, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So can we also make some of the letters as bold, highlighting the skill set or something like that?
yeah, good. That's a good question. I would definitely say you can bold in all the titles, like you can bold this title, company, location, period, and then you put in all the rest of your experiences in a um, bullet point. I'll show you the resume what I
Okay,
said.
thank you. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
in that I think it will be more better on how much to put what. Okay.
yeah. Thank you, thank you.
Okay. Wonderful. So next would be the interview phase. So, like, be prepared for everything, be it for phone call, in person, video. Phone call is like a blessing in disguise. You can have your points, everything written down. Even if you miss out on something, you can always look back. In person interviews where they can feed on your energy. So you have to always be energetic, how you're talking, show interest, don't lean back. All those things do count. Even be it video interview, like how you dress yourself, how attentive you are to the listener, and always keep it conversational. It do not think that in an interview you have to wait for the interviewer to ask all the questions, and in the end you can ask questions when they say any questions. Not necessary. Let us say there is a job description where they have asked something, you have read everything in detail, and you have some questions. Every one of us will have some questions, so don't hesitate and wait till the end where, like, they ask, okay, you have any questions? When they ask certain question like, do you have, can you describe a time when you have led a team or anything like that? So you can ask, okay, I've read the JD and it says more on a technical role. Do you think I'll have people management role as well in this particular responsibility, as a responsibility on this role, or would it be just technical? You can ask them questions, you can make it conversational, and always prepare an effective intro. So, an effective introduction, I would definitely say, keep it very simple and precise. Don't go into like, I have got my PR recently, I've moved from here, so and so and so. That you can do when you're introducing, like it is not formal interview, that is okay. But when it is a formal interview, do not go into background where you have come from. It is not necessary. Give them what they are looking for, and always make sure you're telling them why you are a fit for that role. If, let us say, you're applying for a project manager role, so intro would be like, hey, I'm Rakesh, I have 3 years of experience in project management. Before that, I was working as a software developer or senior software developer, whatever you were doing. And then according to my uh, profile, I was managing a team of 6. I was involved in, give them a little bit of responsibilities. I've communicated with clients, stakeholders, other business leaders. I've always motivated the team. I've mentored new joinees. So it is like a short description of your latest experience, or I would say like short description of your entire summary, what you have written, professional summary, but be it to the point for the job related. Uh, You don't have to say it for more than 3 to 4 lines. Make sure you have an effective introduction. Always have your resume and references ready. If I say references, some people have their references in their hand, but when they are doing the reference check, they will ask for more time. So maybe some references are not in Canada because most of you are coming traveling from different parts of the world. So always make sure you've updated your reference and keep them aware that here my reference check can be done anytime or any time of the day. So they should be aware. Everybody will give you like minimum 3 to 4 days, and it will generally be like a questionnaire which they send it to them and they have to fill it. So I would definitely say always keep your references ready to give a reference check. And what kind of questions you ask, that also makes a difference. So let us say you're talking to a technical person, ask them more regarding, like, what platforms are they using. So all these questions I would say would be ideal to ask for a technical recruiter. When you're talking to more of an recruiter, HR recruiter who is not technical, that time I would definitely say ask about your location. Would you have to travel? Now being it COVID, you get an option from remote options, working from home, uh, or number of hours. That is also important right now because even that is changing due to COVID. Like not everybody is getting 40 hours, they are making it 35. So this would be something, good questions to keep in mind to ask for your recruiters. And always have a thank you note and follow up. Definitely follow up, but how long are you following up for? You're not getting any feedback, you're not getting any responses once you send in. Yes, following is very important, but send a thank you email or a note. Even let us say what happens is you are applying through a recruitment agency and you have had an interview with the client. So even then, you send a thank you email to the recruiter who has been in mediator with you and the client, and ask them to forward this message to the interviewer who interviewed you. They do this. I generally ask my candidate to write a thank you note for the interviewer so that I can forward it to them. So that is very important, even if you are not getting hired directly from the company. Yes, and follow up email within 10 business days of interview. You can follow up with the recruiter for 3 to 4 days once, but I think you can follow up for 10 business days. After that, give it some time, maybe 15 days or so, and then only you follow up. I don't think you more than 3 follow-ups will be required. If you're not hearing back anything after 3 follow-ups, it's okay. You can just send them a general thank you note for the opportunity. If there's anything else for the future opportunities, please let me know. You can send them an email, and then once in a month you can just keep in touch with the recruiter, just saying hello and, like, I'm still open in the market, I'm still looking for opportunities. If there's anything, you can kindly let me know. There's no harm in dropping an email. Always no harm in dropping an email. And I would definitely say, if you have not heard back anything after the interview, don't waiting for their response. Don't waste your time on, like, okay, uh, it went sometimes it goes really well, the interview goes really really well, but still it takes some time for the company to decide on. To be very honest, the process is really slow, and they won't get back. Like, if you have had your interview today, generally what they do is they do couple of more interviews to compare your profile. Even though if they feel you're really good, they want their own comparisons, so they'll wait for some other people to apply and see and compare your profile with them. They will not go with one person, because I've had this experience when I've submitted my candidate, interview has gone and it's gone brilliantly well. The candidate is very happy. Even the client was very happy with the candidate, but they were not offering him a job just because there was no one to compare with. So what I started doing, I started pushing more profiles so that they have people to compare with. So take it will take some time. Be patient. Um, and I would definitely say these are the points you can use to, like, introduce or keep in contact with people on LinkedIn. Many a times it has been that, when I started networking, from where I came, or like from where you guys are coming, not everywhere social media or, like, networking was a major part. So mostly, like, it will be like, what do I ask them? What questions should I ask them to, like, have that connection going, have that interaction going? What can we ask? So I would definitely say, like, if you identify these certifications and skill sets, maybe you can use that. Hey, I'm looking to do an HRPS certification or CHRP certification. I want to be a member of HRPA or for PMP, or even for different licenses. If you're finance, if you're coming from finance background, there are so many. So CSE certification, IFIX certification, there is mutual fund licenses. So you can ask them about, like, what kind of licenses or certifications you have done to get this kind of a profile, and I'm interested to know. And the next one is, if there's any company event or um, information regarding the company, you can ask, hey, I've bagged the interview from your company for so and so role. I see that you're working in there. Mm, can I just have a quick call with you to know more about the company, how the organization is, how the workplace culture is? It's a good way to connect. Generally, people will, like, come back and say, even if they have worked somewhere else before and you're asking about that company, they'll come back and say, uh, give their opinion. And the next is resume feedback. Always you can um, ask for a resume feedback, and then requesting informational interviews. So I've always used a combination of these points to keep my connections and keep my taking my connection further. Let's say one day I connect with them, saying, hey, so and so and so, and then after that, what? I don't want to, like, let go of them with one message or so. I always want to, like, next would be what? And after maybe a week or 2 weeks, I'll send them a message with another point. So always, so I have four here. Like, you can have four connection messages with one person with all these points. And then you will build relation, and then you will start going further from there. Before question and answers, I'll just go through the resume, and then just give me a minute. I'll just take out the resume and then. Okay, so you can put in. I'm just showing you my own resume. So it'll be like, you put your name, then below contact details, phone and email, LinkedIn account link, and your location. Always do not put your complete address. It is not required. You can just put the location, Toronto, Canada, or like Mississauga, Canada. You can only put that. That is enough. Then you'll have a professional summary with, like, few points, not more than that. Again, it depends on your experience, how much you want to put. Uh, this one, to be very honest, I've put in where I'm giving it to a direct recruiter or a LinkedIn person or my referral. So this is the resume what I'm using directly for a person connect, not an ATS resume, because I've not added skills, technical skills. That is very important for an ATS resume, because those are the keywords which will help you pick up your resumes. And even like, I would suggest you upload your ATS resume for Indeed, Monster, uh, even for LinkedIn. You don't put in any resume. It only comes, like, when we search, we only use skills that will pick up your profile. So Indeed, Monsters, Zip Recruiter, Jobalico, I think there's many. For all those, use ATS, because keywords are main for any kind of ATS tool or Indeed uh, job boards. And then professional experience. So it will be like my profession, and then where you're working, location, month, date, and till present. And then all your job duties in bullets. So I have only used bold for the job titles or this, nothing in between. There is no bold letters in between. I've seen people highlight, let us say, public sector, telecommunication, or something you want to highlight, any certifications. Not required, but there's no harm in doing it. If you have done it, it's okay. It is not a big deal. But I like to keep it simple. It should tell a story. Resume should always tell a story from where you started. And if you see, like, if you have some kind of a gap, so let us say, see, from here May 2019 to here, there is a gap. So I have put it like this: attended HR bridging program at Humber. Of course, I would have put it in my education, but in my experience, it shows that I have worked there during this time. That's why there is a gap. So I always put this, and then there is again some gap. So I, whatever is the reason, I have put it so that they'll know why there is a gap. I've always mentioned that. Even here, moved to Singapore to pursue master's degree, because there is a gap, 1 year gap. So now I can take in questions if you have.
I have one
Maybe
question.
Sure, sure, Simran, go ahead.
So, what if we don't have any experience? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
all of the people
Yes.
here, they are more experienced than me.
Mm-hmm.
So far, I heard the introduction. So I don't have any experience. I'm just fresh graduate. After I completed my bachelor's from
Mm-hmm.
India, I came here.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good point. What I would say is, put in your most relevant projects what you have done as your experience. Instead of work experience, you will put it as projects handled or projects, and then you'll put in your whatever is the relevant project for the job you're applying for.
Okay.
So if you have done anything, let us say you're a fresh grad from an IT background. So if you're applying for a test role, have you done any kind of testing in any of the project? Highlight those in your project experience. Otherwise, if you have done any project management course, if you have done anything volunteering work, if you have published any journals, if you have written any paper, So you would have done everything. So you can always include your projects instead of experience. That is your experience.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
Hi Mayuri, Srinidhi here. I have a question.
Okay, Shindy, tell me.
Yeah. So I'm an HR professional. So what I have generally heard is that you're supposed to squeeze with almost 3.5 years of experience now.
Mm-hmm.
So we've generally heard that you're supposed to squeeze in the resume in like 1 page or 1.5 page or something.
Mm-hmm.
So how does it work with the ATS or LinkedIn system that we have? Is it okay to have more than 1 page, or what is the ideal size?
See, I would definitely say for an ATS resume, you're still, I would say 2 pages, not more than 2 pages, because even if your resume gets selected, it goes to a recruiter. For a recruiter to review the profile, 2 pages is enough. Once they give you a call and they ask you more details, and they'll tell, okay, we will forward your resume to the technical team or something, then you can say, I have another in detailed resume. If you wish, I can share that as well for the technical manager or the hiring manager to know more about my work experiences. But I think
Okay.
for a 3 years of experience, 2 pages is more than sufficient. If you see, like, I have also 3 years of experience, 3.5 years experience. I still have some space, like with Calibri 11. And if you don't put anything extra, like if you're, do not put something just to be there. Whatever you feel relevant, if you put those, 2 pages is sufficient. Let us say somebody with 10 years of experience, it's highly difficult for them to put everything in 2 pages, then we say 3 pages.
Okay.
Anything less
Okay.
than 5 years, 2 pages. Anything more than 5 years is 3 pages.
Okay. Thank you.
Right?
Mayuri, I have one question.
Eh?
Can I just add in a little bit?
Sure, sure.
Srini, they keep your video on. Aw. And I'm getting to see Srinidhi after a very, I think probably for the first time. Srinidhi is my adopted daughter-in-law now.
Thank you.
she's married to one of my grads. That's why I say my adopted daughter-in-law. There was a question from Simran and Srinidhi. So Mayuri, allow me to just say a couple of words here. Simran, you said you don't have any experience, and Mayuri said it right. You need to highlight the relevant experience. Okay, every recruiter has a checklist, right? And the checklist is what's usually written at the bottom of the job description as requirements. So when we teach you the destination CEO template resume, one is creating a master resume where you're going to put all of your accomplishments, all right, in all of the positions. But then from that master resume, you have a separate template which is completely customized to the position you're applying for, right? And that in the first section is your highlights of skills and qualifications based on the job description requirement from the bottom. Okay, so that's the checklist that the recruiter, be it agency recruiter or corporate recruiter, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mayuri, that's the first thing they look at.
Yes.
If in that 30-second of them skimming through the top part of your resume, they find it interesting, the second part they look for is experience. Now, let's say your relevant experience is 2 years or 3 years before. Okay. If you put that on the second page, a recruiter who's looked at the top, they may or may not look at your second page based on the number of applications they receive. All right. So what you need to do is relevant experience, put in the relevant experience first, and then you have another section says other experience, because the other experience is just to understand your transferable skills, right? But your relevant experience is what is your specific skills to that job description. And for everybody out here that says, I'm a new graduate, I do not have the experience, like Mayuri said, what you have is an updated knowledge and education on that specific field that you're applying for. So you are actually going in with a lot more than what people over there already have. The people who are already working have experience, but they may not have the immediate relevant education. Okay,
I would
that's your value
like to ask.
proposition. Does
Thank
that
you.
make sense, Simran?
Yes, ma'am.
So focus on the value proposition you're bringing to the table. And your accomplishments needs to be focused around, when you look at the job description, it says they need somebody to create this solution. That's where you need to write. That if you worked on a project, these are the skills you used to solve these problems, resulting in this solution.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, answering Srinidhi. Srinidhi, as you know, and for those of you that are in human resources, okay, human resources started off as a people management department, okay, in the 18th century. It has grown ever since. Okay. In the 19th century, when there were issues between employees and employers, when unions were birthed, okay, that's when the distinction or the difference in departments were created. Okay, that's when the companies realized they need somebody to manage compensation, they need somebody else to manage recruitment and selection. And then in Canada specifically, 20 years ago, when I was job searching, even then, you see, employers could look at us and tell us directly, sorry, you do not have Canadian experience. But realizing, okay, so pictures and stuff, that was, against the privacy policy 20 years ago. It's become more stricter now. All right. But as of, I think, 3 years ago, all right, I think I'm right, Mayuri, 3 years ago, there came a law, 3 or 5 years ago, there came a law that you cannot be discriminated due to lack of Canadian experience. So sometimes when an employer tells you, okay, they may not give you the feedback only because they, in their mind, have their biases that they cannot hire you because you don't have Canadian experience. You may be perfect for the role, right? But in their mind, they're thinking, okay, I need somebody who can manage my team. I need somebody who has a Canadian experience to manage certain aspects of the team. And that's when they will, look for somebody with that Canadian experience. Now, how are recruiters and corporate recruiters different? Recruiters, similar to Mayuri, they're told those things.
Yeah.
We need this Canadian experience because there is a team that's involved that have a diverse set of people, and we need somebody that has had the experience of managing similar kinds of teams, right?
Yeah.
But
So, just to add one thing, Meena, there are certain professions, like let us say, be it finance, somebody coming in, especially into finance, the rules and regulations what you have worked in India is slightly different from the rules and regulations what is in Canada. Sorry. So the Canadian experience, that is why it matters to them, because you're already aware of it. So let us say if you are CSC certified or an IFIX certified, then you don't have to worry about Canadian experience, because you already have updated your skills to Canadian levels. So that is what they are looking for. Otherwise, Canadian experience will not matter much.
right, does
Mayuri,
that does that answer both your questions, Srinidhi? Does that answer your question about where you fit into the HR role? If you're picking up, like for example, you decide that your strength is compensation, you will need to learn how taxes work in Canada. What are the salary grids in Canada, right? But if you are going into HR in terms of people management or recruitment selection, then you need to understand how the platforms work, right?
yes.
How is screening done? How is recruitment done? And certain things are much easier to learn. Certain things you will require a certification, right?
Sure,
Because
sure.
for, like, let us say in HR, There is employment laws. There are different laws which are followed even in recruitment. And how do you pre-screen? What are the bona fide, like classifications? What you and disability laws? How you cannot discriminate people on disability, and there are so many laws now. Even the, like, for example, marijuana became legal. So after that, there are a lot of changes in policies and procedures what they'll do in HR. So again, if you're a policy maker or a policy and procedures writer, contracts writer, so all depends on what is happening currently. So that's why they look for somebody who's already updated on those laws.
Sure, sure. Thank you. I think I got a gist of how the entire culture works there. So, yeah, thanks.
Awesome. Thanks. Amisha, you were saying something. Sorry, I didn't let you finish. I was just in the midst of
Yeah,
completing.
no issues. Actually, today I had a word with IDP consultants. So they told me that if you're looking for HR certifications of 2 years, even when you are graduated, you would not be able to get mainstream HR jobs. And I was like so worried because I am I already have experience in HR. So they told me that you might fit into admin profile, but talent acquisition and everything,
Mm-hmm.
because I would not be a PR holder. So they told me that it's because of some privacy concerns that they have. So is it actually in the market?
Amisha, I'm going to
And
ask you to join us on the last call, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, this Wednesday, and ask these questions directly to our speakers. As far as I'm concerned, honey, we've been able to convert thousands of success stories. So if somebody's telling you that, they probably
I
need to
know.
refurbish their, refresh, and they're not the kind of people that you want to be
See,
targeting.
I have one of
Okay.
my friends. She is currently working as a HRBP in McKinsey. She does not. She didn't have any Canadian experience. She did the same HR bridging program what I did. As long as you can show that you understand the laws through certification and you have good number of experience in that field, it shouldn't be an, like, problem or anything to stop you from getting that roles.
Thanks a lot. That was really insightful. I was actually worried. Thanks a lot.
You worrying without any reason, girl. You're not even here, and you have 2 years before you catch up. Subhav, you have a question?
Yeah, thank you, Meena. My question is basically if you are working in different roles in an organization, so
Mhm,
you need to put all those roles on your CV. Like, for example, you joined as an associate or an experienced associate in Deloitte,
mhm.
and thereafter you got promoted to consultant, and after that to a senior consultant.
Yeah,
You just need to mention senior consultant with the joining and present, or all the roles.
good question again. So I would definitely say in that case, you will have to put in your breaks. Like, let us say you have worked as an associate for a year and then you've been promoted. Yes, because it shows your growth within the organization. You've been with them for so long, and not the entire 6 years you were in manager. You have been in different roles. So in each role, you'll have different responsibilities, maybe including some of the previous ones. So you can omit that in your higher level experience, and then, but you will have to show that growth in your resume. Yes,
Thank you so
Ritika.
much for that.
Yeah.
So, Subhav, when let me just jump in.
Sure.
I'm going to ask Nisha and Raj to ask your questions here, and I know that some of you have your hands raised. So, what's happening is with the screen open, sometimes I don't know how many hands are raised. But if I may, Subhav, when I first started my career, I started it at the YMCA as a receptionist. Okay, this was 20 years ago. I grew in that career. I was promoted every single year, right? And when I left the YMCA, I left after a secondment with United Way, okay? And it was almost a management role, right? So I was also quite confused. This was 7 years of my journey. And then I worked in recruitment, and then I had my own agency. So when I decided I wanted to go back into the nonprofit world, I had the same question. And my mentor at that time, I reached out to a mentor and I'm like, it shows like I have 6 positions with YMCA, 6 levels. How should I do that? So his answer to me was very clear. Because we are focusing on the particular level, the senior level, you want to highlight the senior positions, right? The senior responsibility, customize it with your achievements. And then you may have a line in which you could say, started as an admin, right? And grew into management. So what happens is people see your progression. Now, certain admin roles, so certain positions, like I was going into nonprofit, but in a job development role, certain admin responsibilities was were important for those roles, so to highlight those admin responsibilities. Another thing which most people do, and I know that my students do this constantly, is if they worked in 3 different survival jobs, right? And I give you my own example, right? In my own resume, with 6-7 years of experience, when I had recreated, I had a 3-page resume, and because I'd done a few admin roles, right? And almost every position required to answer the telephone, I had it as a line in literally every position. So my mentor said, the first time you put it, I get that you can answer the phone. You don't have to put it in
Yeah.
everything, right? Because your resume is your real estate, right? Before, where it was okay to have 3-4 pages, now people want it as short as anything. Like, I'm sure Mayuri will tell you that regardless of how many pages your resume is, if your resume, she has approved your resume, she still has to make a 1 paragraph, your elevator pitch introduction, and send that along
Yes.
with your resume,
Yeah.
right? So make it
Yes.
easy for recruiters to make that elevator pitch for you.
Okay, one last question.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, sometimes when you grow in your career, you have those managerial skills,
Mm-hmm.
interpersonal skills, and convincing skills, basically. Because now at that particular time, you don't have to show your technical part as such to the company or to the recruiter. Rather, it's more of the interpersonal or the PR skills which you can handle. So, how to project that in your resume?
So I would definitely say you can put it as a star approach, maybe key achievements or accomplishment, and you say that you like bagged a deal of so and so or a contract of multi-million deal. You convinced a client to, so you can put that as an accomplishment. So you're highlighting that skill, but instead of just putting good interpersonal skills or good communication skills on your resume, you put it as an accomplishment. Again, that will come in your work experience um, place where you have achieved it. Let us say you're working currently somewhere and you've achieved it, put that as an accomplishment in that particular experience paragraph.
Thank you so much, Mayuri, for that.
Amit, before I get to you, there are a couple of questions. So let me ask that. Raj BP, are you still here? If you are, you have a question.
Uh,
Raj,
I
Yeah,
do
I
have.
am.
okay. Do
Hi.
you want to ask that question? So we'll go Raj, Nisha, and then we have Amit and Puneet, and then
Okay.
anybody else.
Yeah, so my
And I
question
have
is
a
basically,
surprise for you after 15 minutes.
okay.
Go for it.
You're asking me, Mina, to go ahead?
Yes,
Okay,
yes. If you
cool.
can
Yeah.
put
So
your video
sorry about
camera, it
that.
will be nice.
Yeah, I'm trying to get my camera up for some reason today. My internet isn't working well, so I wasn't able to
Okay,
get even the mic up. I'm
okay. Go
trying to
ahead.
get that as we go through. I'll try and get it up. But my question was more about the example that Mayuri showed, that in
Mhm.
the resume, that when you have a gap, you could put it in as a one-liner comment. And so
Yeah.
my query is like, if you would do that, how does that get treated in the ATS systems? Or, does it get detected, or, it's something that will
No,
just
it
pass by?
doesn't. it doesn't get deducted because it is just amongst that particular experience. You're not putting any dates, you're just mentioning that reason. It generally nobody puts it. I put it because it's more like a storytelling for me, what I have done, where I've started till what I'm doing. So gaps are natural for everyone and anyone. So it's just a way of showing that I'm not hiding anything from anyone, I'm being completely transparent. That's my way of telling. It will not get deducted in ATS.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. But anyway, if you have a gap, it will show to the recruiter.
Okay.
Okay.
Nisha?
Yes, hi. So my question was, we mentioned that we put the relevant experience first, relevant to that role,
Mm-hmm.
and then in other experience we write the rest of the experience that we had. So are we saying that we should, I mean, we possibly should not put our experience in chronological order? Because
No.
it's like it's possible that for that role, the relevant
Mm-hmm.
experience might have been like, say, in the last assignment with the last company, and not
Okay.
and not really your, I mean, the previous company and not the last company that you worked with.
Yeah, I understood. Let us say you worked as an I software IT developer in not this particular role, but currently you're working something else, but previous company you were working. So
That's
you
right.
will put in your current work experience in chronological order itself, but in the current
Mm,
work experience, you'll put transferable skills, what they're looking for as your
mm,
experience in the present one, and then highlight more on the previous one. So that's why there's a summary where you're giving what is your highlights for that particular role. So in the summary will
okay.
always have relevant explanation for the job description, but experience
Mm-hmm.
you always go in chronological, even if it is doesn't matter so much, but maybe you're putting your customer service experience or communication experience or people management leadership qualities.
Mm-hmm.
So if
Mm-hmm.
there will be something that is relevant from your current experience as well, so put those
Right.
on that.
Okay, I also
Mm-hmm.
had another question in terms of certifications, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
how do we know that we would need to do some certification? Like, for instance, I'm an HR business partner. I've grown
Mm-hmm.
in that field I've been there for about 8, 9 years now. And when I
Mm-hmm.
look at jobs that
Mm-hmm.
I'm interested in, which is an HR business partner, I don't see any certifications required other than, say, maybe a CHRP or probably one of the global certifications.
Yeah,
And that also many a times it is mentioned saying that, if you have it, I mean,
good
good
to
to
have
have
an
may not be
asset.
like a necessity.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that
So
is true. It is.
in
Mm-hmm.
that case, how do we know that, an HR certification probably would really help? Like you were mentioning that you do an HR or know the laws through an HR certification.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
is that really like mandatory, or is it again very rule specific, or a general understanding about the market or the laws through reading and networking also helps?
Mm-hmm. So, Nisha, again, it depends on the role you're applying for. If it is mainly on, like, you're writing policies and procedures for an organization, then they would definitely look for somebody who has good amount of Canadian experience along with those certifications. Because that is, if you're an HRPA member, they always keep you updated on the most recent laws, something that has changed, something that is updated. But let us
Yeah.
say you're applying for a talent acquisition or a talent management or a recruitment position. For that, it might not be a strict yes. So even with your experience, they can still say that is okay. Again, it depends on the job, what you're applying for. Even for that, CHRP is an asset when they mention. That is, again, they're saying for people who worked in Canada for, let us say, for 4 5 years, and then if you're applying, then it is an asset, somebody who's holding that certification. But you're
Okay.
very new to the country, so again, if you show that, it says you have put in some effort to learn, towards your job, what is the current laws and regulations in Canada, you've updated yourself. It
Mm.
is a way of showing that you adapt very easily. That's it. But even otherwise, you can still go ahead and apply it. If your skill set matches exactly what they are looking for, you will definitely receive interview calls for that.
Right.
Guys, I said I had a surprise, so I have a surprise. We will get back with our question and answers.
Mhm.
Mayuri, you're okay for time?
Yes, yes, definitely.
Okay. So everybody, welcome Biju Misra. Does everybody know who Biju Misra is? If you don't, you better start.
Hi, Biju. How we
especially,
doing?
especially if
Hi,
you're
Vijay.
Destination CEO. Mr. Misra, are you with us? Because I see Never Stop Dreaming, but I don't see the.
Yeah, I'm here. Let me just trying to clean my desk, so all my stuff is all over the place.
It's okay. Cluttered desk is a good mind, busy mind.
This is a wonderful surprise.
Oh yeah,
It's
no, no,
a wonderful surprise.
this is a
Hey,
wonderful surprise.
Biju.
Hi,
Hello.
How are
Mayuri, how are
so,
you?
you? I'm good.
Good,
so
how are
How are
you
to
things?
doing?
पता नहीं मैं भी नहीं खाती हूँ नहीं ओ सॉरी
Same here.
so so for those of you who don't know Biju Misra is the person who serves coffee. No, I'm just kidding. He is the chair of the board of directors of Destination CEO. He is our mentor. He's my mentor as well. He's a huge part of Destination CEO because he has mentored the entire Destination CO team to where we are today, and we are offering our amazing program now on a virtual platform to everybody worldwide. So thank you, Biju, for
Oh my.
joining and coming to say hello. He's gonna he has a very tight deadline, so he's given me only 15 minutes, out of which I've already spoken 3 minutes. So I'll give the floor to him to say a few words, and then
So
he
if
can
if you
release.
want to learn how to praise people, you should just listen to what Meena says. Yeah, so I don't know all these things she's talking about. I'm like the back of everything. You know, she does all the work, and I just show up, share some tips, and then suddenly I get all the credit. No, this is like 40 people. Holy geez, this is Mayuri. You really like did a good job. Like this is huge crowd.
Thank
Um,
you so much, Biju.
yeah, no, this is fantastic. And clearly, Meena, this says, yeah, there's lots of information that's required for people, right, to do these kind of things. What can I say? Um, I think it's job search is difficult to begin with, and it's even more difficult when you are new, right? When you land and with all the things that have to go on, so that makes it even harder. And I think the key to that is to have a support network. So people like Mayuri and so on who can share their experiences and that you'd have to kind of figure out on your own. So that's one part. Second is I think the intent of Destination CEO as Meena set up the program is really to help people start from finish to land. I think her experience speaks for more than anything else. I really have no real big role here. It's everything that she's done over the last 10 years and working with different people and I guess up to 1,000 people, whatever it is, that kind of brings everybody together, right? Knowing that the situation is where it is today in general, you have to kind of live through the next 2-3 months, but there's all indication that everything will pretty much open up or close to open up in September, though most of the things starting Monday, a lot of things are opening up now because, right? So to that, I mean, you have to be careful, right? So wear a mask, wash your hands, don't touch your face. This is the only 3 simple rules you have to follow to be safe. Right? And of course, don't go to places where there's lots of people and crowds and just, but there's all indication that by September, things will be normal, as normal as they can be. 30-40% of the workforce will be back in offices, so that, I think jobs and things will pick up again. Right? It's unfortunate that you are in this time, but then again, in this time, this already, it's about to be June, which is surprising because it's raining still. June, July, August. right? And even if this was a normal year, June, July, August, you probably would slow down anyway, right, Mayuri? I mean, not a lot of hirings happen, but not a lot of hirings happen because people are on holidays and vacation and so on. So in a strange way, you're really kind of losing 2 months, but I would use the summer to prepare. Sina and I talked about anxiety and stress just in the last Wednesday call, which is really about use this time to breathe, to take it in, fix your resume, start interviewing, do your interview skills, record yourself doing it so that you can see yourself as to how you come across. And that's really important, right? Now, I would say that's, even though things are video and so on, even in general, I think that's a really good idea these days to record yourself answering questions and just watching yourself how you answer questions. You'll pick up a lot of things about are you coming across confident, are you not sure, whatever it is. And that's really important, right? How you come across is really important when you do interviews. So that's what I would say. I think there's a good program. I think it kind of walks you through all the different steps. And then of course you have each other, right? That's the other one. That is, part of managing stress is to connect with each other and make sure that you understand, what's going on, and everybody's kind of going through their own thing, right? So empathy goes way long ways managing stress, right? And I see a lot of people within cohorts who connect in places like this, but don't actually connect with each other, which you should do, right? Because you're all in together. So the biggest support network you can have is each other as you kind of move through it. As you go through, and all of you will be employed and all of you will kind of move in your career. But the good thing is you'll at least have this cohort and these groups of people that if you build relationships now, you'll always be connected. And right, like that's how jobs come too, because every one of you will be in a different position. And then one of these days, each one of you will help each other, right? Including everything. The mentors like Mayuri help. They're there to kind of give their time, and she spent 2 hours here today or an hour and a half kind of walking you through all that stuff. She doesn't have to do it. She does it because she wants to give back and she wants to be part of a process. So take advantage of it, show up, be present, listen, and really internalize and make sure that you understand, what it is that you're not meeting, and kind of fill that. It's difficult to apply, be rejected. It's difficult to apply, be rejected, not told why. It's difficult to just apply and do the work, right? But it is a numbers game. You have to commit to certain amount of applications every week, every day. Like you just have to do it, right? If it's really important to you, then you'll do it, right? So what I would encourage you to do is, because maybe some of you are working, you run out of time, but in every decision, every point in a day when you're like, I don't want to do it, I really want you to think about, and we do this in performance coaching a lot, I really want you to reframe that and say that the decision you're about to make, essentially you're saying that looking for a job is not important for you. If the answer is no, then you have to do it. If the answer is yes, then there's consequences to that, right? So it's all hard work. It never ends. It's all hard work. But hopefully the rest of us can help you to make some of that work easier. But end of the day, you still have to do the work, right? You still have to do the work. Mentors can still be there to talk to you and support you and guide you, but you have to do the work. You have to be clear on what the problem is. It's all your work. And I see a lot of people who may join things like this or participate where they somehow think it's everybody else who's going to do it. Nobody's coming, right? Nobody's coming. Everybody has their own problems. You're not the center of everybody's universe. You're the center of only your universe, right? So you have to do the work and leverage people around you to help you put the least amount of effort to get the maximum output. Yeah. So I know I'm just kind of lecturing, but that was kind of what was on my mind today. Yeah. You have any questions? Anything? Like, when we look for a resume, when we look for interview candidates, I mean, Sina's here, should give you a shorter time frame. I probably spend a minute Cena spends 6 seconds, right? Because just our roles in organizations, by the time I get it, it's already been filtered probably multiple times, whether it's the recruiter, whether it's internal, external. So I'm like, okay, this is like the final three. So I should at least spend some time, a minute, to kind of reading what's there and deciding whether it's good to go for an interview or not. But think about like Mayuri, right? Like if you send your resume to her, that's like one of about 19 million resumes she has. Right?
True. I generally spend not more than 15 seconds on one resume. That's
Yeah.
very true.
Yeah. And so that's the time you have to really think about what's impactful. So besides, format and tense and all that, read and study about what makes things more impactful. What does it make? What does a resume that's impactful? What does a cover letter that's impactful? And there's no answer. I wish I could tell you that here's the formula, just do it. There isn't. You just have to do it. So that's the time you have in interviews, maybe the first 5-10 minutes. Like within the first 5 or 10 minutes, we generally know whether we'll hire or not. Like probably 95% of the time. The 5% of the time we're a little confused and we're like digging and kind of trying to figure it out, right? So when we do, and Sina have talked about it, when we talk about showing your confidence, how do you manage stress, how do you be self-aware? All those things are really important because those are the things that show up in the first 5 to 10 minutes, right? So knowing yourself, kind of be really clear about what it is that you want to do, things you're good at. Those things are important questions to answer. Resume and Mayuri and everybody's fine, but a lot of it is kind of dig really within and really accept yourself, and that's how you'll be confident, right? Like you really have to accept yourself and kind of what you know and what you don't know, and be okay with that, right? That's okay. If it's not one employer, then there'll be somebody else, right? And there's a very fine line between confidence and arrogance, right? You want to be confident, you don't want to be arrogant, right? Because nobody really likes to work with arrogant people. Like, as arrogant as I can be, I really temper it down when I'm at work. Because, people, have you heard that statement that says people rather work with a lovable fool than an intelligent jerk?
Sure.
That's research.
That's why Bijou works with me. See?
No, right? Like that's
first
research
one,
that
not the
says that.
latter, okay?
That when they look at employees and teams across companies like 10 or 20,000 people, most people say they'd rather work with somebody who's lovable and easy to work with, and they may not be the smartest person, versus work for the smartest person who's just so difficult to work with that it's not worth it. Right?
So, Bijo, I have a question myself. Sometimes it can be intimidating to talk to somebody in such a high level when you're networking. So, what would be if you can give some things that would grab your attention if somebody is doing an informational interview with you? What would be that one thing that would grab your attention from the candidate?
Yeah, to me,
Mayuri, I'd like to step in over here. Okay. Biju, Mayuri just asked you a question. Now, would you mind introducing your 30-second pitch on what is your role in your professional world?
Oh, geez.
Oh my
No,
God.
I'll just answer her question. I don't
No.
want to
I would like you to, because she just asked you a question.
Yeah,
and
so
you
I'll
are.
tell you what it is, right? Right? No. So I'll tell you what the answer is. So different people react differently, right? Different people are in different levels. And, the questions that she has, I have that too. Meaning I deal with all sorts of levels within an organization, all the way to the top, right? So one is what the company is and what the culture is. But for me, it's initiative, right? It's initiative that somebody has decided to reach out with some structure and thought in their mind.
Okay.
Right? And are transparent about it. It's not like, hey, I just want to like chit chat. I'm like, okay, well, and I get so many with invites and emails and stuff saying, yeah, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I just want to talk. I'm like, oh, I don't know. What do you want to talk about? Right? Like what are we
The
going to talk
message
about?
is something is what would catch your
Yeah,
attention,
like
what they
structure it
want to
some
talk
way
about.
that at least says,
Yeah.
I see you're kind of in this role or whatever. I'm interested in, the industry. This is kind of what I'm struggling with. Do you mind if we talk for half an hour? And that conversation may lead to a lot of other things, right? When I started out, I was in a startup, so that was kind of different because we were all kind of trying to figure out the world. But when I got into corporate life, a lot of it was just reaching out to people saying, "Hey, I just joined the company. You've been in the senior people." Like I was a PM when I started in Toronto, and I would like meet with VPs and stuff, saying, "I just like you've been here for 20 years. I'm curious. Like, how have you navigated the organization? Like, how have you stayed here for 20 years? How did you become a VP?" And people like to talk about themselves. They really love it, actually, right? Like, people always love to talk about themselves and kind of the experiences they've gone through, right? So that's why I say, right, How to Win Friends and Influence People, Dale Carnegie. That's like, you should read that book. That's why. And he says that, right? Like,
Yeah.
be more interested in other people, and everybody wants to talk about it. That's how you build it. But you have to have like some statement. I get a lot of I coach a lot of startup founders. I get so many pitches like, "Hey, here's my deck. Can you look at it and let me know?" I'm like, I don't know who you are. So now you want me to download your deck? You want me to spend time going over it? Then you want me to comment? Then you want me to send it back to you? Sorry, like, why am I going to do that? I don't even know what you're talking about, right? Versus, hey, I'm kind of in this market. I have this product. I'm kind of struggling when it comes to marketing strategies. I know you've kind of done some of that work. Can we talk? And they're like, yeah, okay. Something specific to talk about, right? So even when you reach out, you should do that. You should do that so that people have a sense that you've thought about it a little bit and that you value their time, right?
Yeah.
Everybody wants their time to be valued, right?
Yeah.
There are two rules. One is everybody wants their time to be valued. The other one is everybody wants to be needed. It's just psychological. Everybody wants to be needed in that they want to be able to do something. That's why in your friends and family, when something happens to you, everybody like jumps because everybody wants to help you because they also psychologically want to be needed in that moment, right?
True.
So reach out with conviction, reach out with confidence, and reach out with something to talk about.
Okay.
Yeah, really important.
Thank
Any
you
other
so
questions?
much. I think this would be helpful for others as well when connecting, networking. Yeah,
Yeah.
what to
But
ask.
don't
And
overthink it, right? Don't write
yeah,
like a thesis in like 3 pages and like, oh, geez. Like, then it's the other way around, right? Then it's like, there's so much information, I don't know where to start. Don't do that, right?
yeah,
One of the things I'll tell you in my undergraduate, and we had, I did engineering, we had 4 years of technical writing and oral communication. And I hated every part of it the first year. And I was like, oh, who's going to do this? And like, what the hell is this about? And, in every year, for a full year, we'd have these speeches across, like we did that for 4 years constantly in public speaking, like 200, 300. And they'd invite all the students. You get like 4,000 students. And that was kind of the training. I remember my professor used to say, you can like roll your eyes now, but 70% of your life, your professional life will be speaking and writing, right? 20 years in, I can tell you that's so true. That's so true, right? So writing things crisply, writing things precisely, writing because that's your brand. People don't actually kind of recognize that, but that's your first brand, right? That's your first brand value. So when people read it, if it's not structured properly, they're like, oh, what is this? Like, who is this person and why is this so difficult, right? So I would say, and I still do it, I still have to, I still kind of write stuff. I still do public speaking for that reason, because it's really important, because that's your impression that you give on people when you write stuff. Happens in the workplace all the time. People just write stuff, write documents, have these formatted, and I have to go back to the team and say, this is how you present yourself to other people. It reflects on you. Forget about everybody else, right? So when you say, double check, proof, read all that, do all that, but just make sure that it's simple, it's easy to read, doesn't need fancy language, right? The sentences are clear, short, to the point, so that when people read it, they're like, wow, this person's actually thought it through, and it's very precise and good, right? Good. So yeah, read about how to write, read about how to speak. Like those things you should just do every day, because those are good things to be able to do. Because any organization wants people who can write and read properly and speak properly and with confidence, right? Small things, big impact.
So true.
Any other questions? I have a little bit more time. I can answer questions.
I wonder if you're looking at the comments.
No, I'm not.
It's like
Meena, we can do
everybody's in
like this
love with Biju, right?
storytelling sessions with,
Storytelling sessions.
yeah, like, no, it is so nice to just listen to what you say. So maybe like 5 minutes or 10 minute session with, like, we learn so much of it. Things.
No, I appreciate that. I
And
appreciate that.
that's why I keep saying, right, I want him in everything I do, because he just makes the experience a million times better.
No, listen, I'll tell you, right? I mean, besides, my family and friends and so on, like I've been blessed from the beginning. Even when we were in a startup, I was working with two founders who were, we fought through a lot of stuff. We exited after 5 years, after a very public and disaster first round at a startup. But in corporate life, I've been blessed to have really, really good people that I've reported. I've reported to some crazy people. There've been a couple, but in general, I've had really good mentors, and I've really had good leaders who I've reported to. Um, and even the times I report to somebody who wasn't really all that, sane, that taught me all the things not to do. So many times, as negative and as in a bad position you may be, you should also think about what is it that you're learning that you would never do again, right? So I've reported to people, I was like, I would never lead like this. Oh my God, like who would do that? And I think that's the key, right? When you report to people who you think are really good, you learn a lot of things. But when you report to people who aren't all that good in your eyes, you should also think about what is it that I'm learning, what not to do, so that when you're in that position, you'll never do it again. And that's how you break the cycle, right? You break the cycle of bad leadership by learning from what's bad and never doing it again. So that when you lead people, you're like, oh man, that felt really bad. I would never do that to people. And so you don't do it, right? So I've been fortunate in many ways that I've had people who I've reported to who've been really good to me and really challenged me and really pushed me to the edge, and to the point of exhaustion where it's like you just keep at it, right? Including university and everything like that. So I think every experience is a good one. If you think of it that way, every experience is a good one. Don't be in a bad situation forever, right? Like have self-respect, and it doesn't matter whether it's work or personal or whatever, and that's important. You should always have self-respect for yourself and know the value that you have, and don't let anybody define that for you ever. It doesn't matter who they are, right? You should never let anybody define your value for yourself ever. That's just not good, right? Doesn't matter work or life or whatever. So once you kind of learn that, I think it's important to incorporate it. And the only reason, all this started for me, and as I talk more and I'm kind of more in industry as well, it's only because I think there's a lot of bad things that happen in the workplace, and bad things when you look for work, and bad things when you're out of work that happen that really mess with you, right? Like I remember they're like, even in university, there's some really bad moments, like bad moments, right? And I've seen lots of people go through lots of pain and suffering. So I think resilience is important, right? How you become resilient how your outlook is, what you think about. It all is in your mind that you can control, right? But my one thing would be, and there's a great Martin Luther King speech. I'll send you guys the link if you're really interested, because that's what I do. I watch speeches because I enjoy them. Um, so there's a great Martin Luther King speech that he gave to sixth graders, actually, um, probably about 6 or 8 months before he was assassinated, where he says, you should have a life's blueprint. And he sort of, they're like sixth graders, right? Or they're like, what the hell is this, right? But it's important, that's relevant to all of us, because he says in that is that, what is your life's blueprint? Like, what is it that you want to do and what is really important to you? And then he goes on to outline what that blueprint should have. And one of the things he says your life's blueprint should have is this conviction, like a strong conviction and belief, right? That you should never let anybody tell you that you're nobody, right? And that's really important. I think that's perhaps one of those core truths that you have as an individual. That he says, don't let anybody tell you that you're nobody, whether it's in work, whether it's in personal life, whether it's in wherever it may be the case. Because once you do that, then you lose your own kind of commitment to yourself to be good and to be strong, right? So keep that in mind, that when you apply and people don't respond to you, that's what you want to think about. When in those moments of darkness, you're like, oh man, this is not good. That's what you want to think about is, why are you letting anybody define who you are and that you are nobody? Because you're not, right? You have certain things, you have certain values and traits and abilities. So in my professional life, I've been blessed with that. I've been blessed with lots of people who've pushed me really hard, like really hard, and kind of motivated me in some ways. And I've also had, a very, very, strong kind of support structure. Like my mother, we're kind of going into like some weird territory here. My mother was 13 when she got married, right? In the interior of India. She was 13 when she got married. Uh, Studied till grade 5, probably, right? My dad continued, he went through, then he was a Fulbright scholar, he became a UN diplomat and all this stuff, and she was always there. But he was rarely home because he was traveling so much. He was outside the country so much. He was outside of India. He would be in Iran for 3 years, like Kenya, pretty much everywhere in the world. But I think even now, and she passed away 5 years ago, but, I think, and he acknowledges that even today. He says, it didn't matter that she was only, grade 5 in her education, but her ability to actually muster courage and energy to take care of 5 of us when he was away was significant. Like that was so significant. And she didn't know how to read and write, right? She never learned how to read and write, barely, if that, but she managed everything, right? So to me, I've had role models in my life, and I'm sure if you think in your own life, you'll have lots of people, right? And we tend to overlook the people that are closest to us, by the way, right? We all go into YouTube and we're like, find people who inspire us and all this stuff. But most people who inspire you are actually just around you. You don't have to look for them, right? The problem is we get taken away by the Steve Jobs of the world, and we think this is like the most fantastic thing. But really, I mean, he created the iPad. It's okay, right? It's fine. If it wasn't him, it was going to be somebody else, right? But probably even in your life today, there's probably people who will inspire you. We don't look for them because they're not out there, but all the things they've done. And those things are important. And the reason I'm telling you that in a job search, why that's important, is because that's what gives you conviction. That's what gives you the mental strength to kind of continue, right? Because you have people who are close to you who have gone through experiences and have survived. I mean, that's a fact. So don't look for all of us, frankly. We're here to help you. But really think about those things, about what defines you and what you're about and what makes you feel good and what kind of people you like to work with and what kind of people you don't like to work with and what type of bosses do you want, what type of leader do you want to be. Like those things are important, right? What in your life is so inspiring to you, the things you've done, all the work that you've gone through to get here, those are the things that will take you over. There's nothing I can do really significantly that'll alter that. I can help you. I can talk to you, right? I can help you with the resume. I can, I can do mock interviews for you. I can do all that, right? But these are the times when you really have to deep down and say, what am I really about? And what is actually so inspiring about my own life that I want to continue with? And who are the people around me that I've never really paid attention to, but actually have a lot to give and have kind of made me who I am, right? So as much as it is job search, it's so much about you. It's all about you. And if you kind of sort that out, you'll do fine in a job search. I can guarantee it, right? If you just figure out kind of what you are and how you are and what that means and what that looks like and what's really inspiring you, you'll be fine. You'll show up at an interview, you'll ace it because you're just like, I'm good. I know who I am. You'll apply for the right jobs, you'll go to the right interview, you'll talk the right way, you'll do all that well. Right? They'll just come out. It'll just be normal. It'll be easy for you. Right? I can tell you because I'm an example of it. It'll just come naturally because you'll be so comfortable with who you are. Right? It won't matter you're a newcomer. It won't matter your Canadian experience because even here, like in my company, we don't look for Canadian experience. I'm like, well, who cares? We know that diversity is a cornerstone of Canada. We know that. Right? We're multilingual, for God's sake. So for us to say, oh, don't have Canadian experience, we're like, how does that make sense? How could you be diverse? How could diversity be a key element and a company that believes diversity inclusion is important, right? And say, well, you don't have Canadian experience, so sorry, we can't hire you. It makes no sense. It's not in line with our values that we have. And there are lots of companies like Cambridge who are there who do that. Right? For every company that says you don't have Canadian experience, guys, I can tell you there's at least 3 who say we don't really care. You just have to find them. Yeah, I know I ramble. Sorry, I just thought I would share that.
I wish you, before you go, that you take the time to read the comments, Biju,
No, okay.
That have come specifically for you. And yes, so without further ado, before we jump into your questions once again, guys, this is why we have Destination CEO. We're not handing you out jobs. We are handing you out tools. We're giving you the guidance of mentors like Biju. We are making you see your mirror and showing you what you're capable of and asking you to go out there. So as you all know, for the past 60 days, Destination CEO has been doing events and these workshops and these master classes for the entire community worldwide. We have slashed our prices for our course, which starts, of course, you started today. Today was the first class, and you are all invited to this first class. But starting from Tuesday, our closes, and our 85% prizes, slashed prizes, they go back, they raise up. So if you are interested in joining the next 5 weeks of this kind of training, you're most welcome. I will, for those of you that stay back after this, I will do a very quick Q&A about the program if you want to. And, I know, Biju, you have a deadline. You have to get somewhere. So Thank you so much for joining. Really appreciate it. For those of you that want to watch this recording over, just go on to Destination CEO's YouTube channel and you can watch this recording. Yes, this is very much recorded. And anytime you want to hear Biju, guess what? Destination CEO YouTube channel. And not this show, we have recorded most of his speeches and everybody else's speeches there. Please subscribe so that you can get alerted every time we upload. Biju, do you have any final words? I know
no, just stay positive, and if you get like negative thoughts, just ping me so I can correct your thoughts.
First join, destination sealed and finger.
That's right. Right?
Anybody wants to say anything to Biju before he goes? You have
If
to
you have any
unmute
Thank you.
questions,
yourself,
just ping
guys.
me.
We love you,
Thank
Thank
Biju.
you
you.
for motivating
Yeah,
us.
Thank
thank you
you.
so
Thank
much
you,
for your
Vijay.
time.
Keep it. Don't lose
We
hope.
love you, Biju.
It's all good.
Thank you, Biju.
Thanks, guys.
Hey
Thank
Biju, I
you.
have a specific question. It is not
Sure.
general question. So
Sure.
if you don't mind, if you some
Go ahead.
time.
Yeah, go
Yeah.
ahead.
So yeah, I did my master in computer science from India top-notch university, and I am having 5-year experience in software QA engineering. But right now, I arrived on Toronto on 11th March, and everything is locked down.
Yep.
But my inspiration is in data science, and I have done few certification from Microsoft, and I do have hands-on and practical knowledge. So could you please help us how to change the transition from one career to another career, and how to tailor the resume for that? Thank you so much.
Yeah, I mean, so transitions are easier if it's a connected shift, right? So you're in computer science, now you want to be in data science. Is that kind of the story, right? The gist of it? That you want to specialize in data science. Is that it? Puneet?
You have to unmute yourself, Puneet. Puneet, are you still there?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, so you said you did computer science and now you want to go into data science. Is that it?
I guess
Okay.
that's
I can hear you.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm just verifying the question. So you said you did computer science
Yes.
and
And after that, I have 5-year experience as a software QA engineer in my previous company, FICO.
yeah, okay. So I think that's an easier transition to make than if I was a veterinarian, I wanted to be in data science. Right? Like that's easier because you did computer science, you're in software and QA, and now you're like, oh, I've found my calling. You want to be in data science. Good. So again, it goes back to context and experience of being in data science, right? There are a lot of one is you can join a program. There's lots of programs out there today that make you go through data science and they assign some projects and things like that. It's always good to have something that you can show that you've applied data science principles and or other to the work you've done. That's always benefit. Like nobody will ever argue with that, right? Yeah. So in your resume, that's what I would say is think of how much have you done work related to data science, right? That's one. And then what have you actually produced, right? That's one. Number two, if you don't have that opportunity, then I would apply data science to QA on your own, and then show that as a way of applying those principles, right? Versus getting another degree and another certification, right? You can, data science. End of the day, like if you look at predictive modeling, etc. QA is a good, it's data science requires data, a lot of data in QA. So I think you can apply those principles to say, this is kind of what I've done, right? And here's the results that it yielded, whether it's a shortage, whether it's a smaller testing time, whether it's identifying where the defects may be, because you've actually applied data science principles to the data around testing and come up with something that's more unique. That's totally in your control, right? You could do that today. You don't have to wait for anybody.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's what I would say, that if you're shifting to data science, good to do courses in data science, because you already did computer science. So it's not like a stretch for people, right? It's not a stretch for people. You've already done computer science. You've already worked as a software engineer. So you're like, okay, he kind of knows the fundamentals there. That's good. Then when you look at data science, I would learn about it, do some courses on whatever, Coursera, edX. Keep doing those because you should show that you're actually learning. Then use those concepts that you have to apply to QA and produce a result. right? And then use
Okay.
that as a
Yes.
way on a resume to say, look at what I've done. The reason I say I'm a data scientist is because I've actually done it. Like here's the result that's yielded in a good outcome. And all that is in your control. You don't need anybody for that.
Yes. Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Thank you so much for giving me, and thank you for entire data CEO destination CEO entire team to helping us and connecting to each everyone.
Yeah, and Puneet, what I would do is once you do that, once you apply these data science principles and so on to QA, and you cut time, and you're like great and you're fantastic, write about it on LinkedIn. That's what I want you to do, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Because otherwise nobody will know.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah. I'll give you one example. A friend of mine who did, I went to startup. He decided to do master's in electrical engineering. And this is a story of why anything is possible. He decided to do master's in electrical engineering and moved to Boston. We were in Kansas, moved to Boston. And 1 year into fully paid, everything's paid, tuition's paid, because he was always like good at everything. You're like 3.99%, 3.99 GPA. And I was like 2.6. I'd be happy if I just graduated, right? So we're like that different. So he called me probably 1 year into the master's program, and he said, I don't want to do this again. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm like, Najib, like, what the hell are you talking about? This you did 4 years of undergraduate. You're into a very good program, in Boston. Everything's paid for. You finished 1 year. What's another year? He's like, I just don't want to do this the only reason I did it is because my dad wanted me to do engineering. I'm like, okay. I said, well, what do you want to do? He's like, I want to do plant genetics. Like, plant genetics? Are you sure? Plant genetics? He's like, yeah, I've always been fascinated with plants. And actually think of it, that's true. He always like worked with plants through undergraduate and stuff. I'm like, okay. Najib left Boston, went to Texas A&M, enrolled in biology, last 2 years of undergraduate. Yeah. Specialized in master's degree in Texas A&M in genetics. Did his postdoctorate in genetics and works in sick children's hospital in Toronto as a cancer researcher.
Okay.
Took him about 3 years more. Yeah. And he writes all sorts of papers today. Like he works on fruit flies, which apparently is very close to the human body. I don't understand it, but so it's possible. You can move careers if you want. It takes a little bit of time, but you can do it. For you, this is easy.
Yeah.
Like within 4 weeks, Puneet, you better be posting something on LinkedIn that I can see. Otherwise, like, come on. This is easy.
Awesome. Thank you
Sure,
so
Biju.
much,
Okay.
Biju, for
Good
joining
night.
us.
Perfect.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Over to Amit. Amit, you have your hand raised. I know we're
Yeah.
over time, so just wondering, you still have the
Thank
question?
Yeah. So I have question for Mayuri. Mayuri, can we use the keywords from job description, and can we paste in our CV and then apply for the job? So can we go up in the ATS ranking? So actually, I want to know like how a recruiter work with ATS. Will they only call top 5 or 10 candidates for face-to-face interview, or how it works actually?
Okay. So, to be very honest, I have not extensively worked with all ATS. So, copy pasting, I would not say like exact words. Like you are using those keywords, right? There are some certain keywords you're using it in your work experience, job description, what you're explaining, or as
Mm-hmm.
your skill sets. Let us say they are looking for some particular tool, let's say PHR, or somebody who's worked with C sharp, .NET, or Kubernetes. So basically, it is just that those keywords should be there in your resume.
Okay.
When a recruiter searches in the ATS, they will search with these keywords. So if that
Okay.
keyword is there on your resume, it will show up, and
Okay.
then they'll go through the profile. If
Mhm.
the profile matches, that's what, just as you said, if someone simply puts the keyword and have not explained anywhere
Okay.
how they have used those technology or skill set in the experience, again
Mhm.
it's going to be irrelevant, so they
Okay.
might not pursue your profile. You should
Okay.
explain in your work experience how you have used it
Okay.
to build
Thank.
what. That's me.
Okay. Thank you.
Sorry, I'm back. I just want to thank you for the comments. That's all. That's it. I appreciate all the comments, guys. Thank you. Yeah, I did read them, so really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, Viju.
Thanks, Mayuri, for your answer.
Okay, no problem. So, yeah,
Ruchika, yeah.
yeah, Ruchika.
You just talked about that you spend around 15 seconds on a resume.
Mm-hmm,
And you also said that accomplishments
mm-hmm,
using a star statement should be mentioned in your professional experience.
mm-hmm,
Now, if I mention it in my experience,
mm-hmm,
in 15 seconds, it might get lost. Maybe you will not be able to see it. Maybe it comes on the second page or the first page. So, don't you think we should write our accomplishments, which are very important,
mm-hmm,
after our profile summary so that it is seen in the 6
mm-hmm.
seconds or 15 seconds?
Okay. So generally, let me just say, what I see in a resume is, first thing is professional summary, because you are giving me a summary of your experience in that. So if that is not there, then of course we'll go next to the work experience. Is it relevant what you have done? And then let us say if that work requires any certifications, maybe CSE or PMP or Scrum Master. So I'll just have a quick look whether you have those certification listed anywhere. So it's just the those points we are looking for in. So if you've written the accomplishment anywhere in the experience, if it is a two-page resume, 15 seconds is enough for any good recruiter to go through the entire resume.
So
It will not be less.
you won't suggest writing accomplishments and
In
key
separate,
certifications on the first page after the professional summary. You won't
you
suggest
can
that?
try. So let us say if it is very relevant and if you feel that that boosts your profile, put it in the summary that
Okay.
you have accomplished this. That is one of your eh, summary, right? And you have done the certification. You can put that in your summary.
Okay.
So generally, like, the summary starts with like a profession, like, 6 years professional, or like a goal oriented professional with 6 years of experience. So you can write a scrum master certified professional with over six. So you have mentioned that
Okay.
without actually putting it in any format. Then you have again education and certifications where you have mentioned your certification.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. And I have another question.
Mm-hmm.
You talked about LinkedIn and resume. So you
Yeah.
can have three kinds of resumes, but LinkedIn is one.
Yeah.
So I would like to give an example. I applied for a position of data
Mm-hmm.
analyst.
Mm-hmm.
Data analyst is only one part of the entire chunk of work I do.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when a recruiter, I
Mm-hmm.
saw an HR recruiter of the company,
Mm-hmm.
she checked my profile and I got a rejection mail
Mm-hmm.
that we are not moving forward with your resume,
Mm-hmm.
with your application. Now, I assume that happened because data analysis was only one liner in my LinkedIn profile.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But I sent a tailored resume to her talking
Mm-hmm.
only about data analysis.
Okay.
Maybe she did not find a connect between the two.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, what can be done in this regard? Because you may be applying for two, three positions
Mm-hmm.
and you have all those mentioned in the LinkedIn.
True. So again, like, some people do not mention completely the job description just to keep the mystery in their profile, so that the recruiter actually contacts them to know what their in-depth knowledge is about. But
Mhm.
if you want to keep your job duties and responsibilities on LinkedIn, I would say again put it into separate titles, divisions. Like let us say you're working in one organization, but you have different responsibilities in it. So you
Mm-hmm.
can write analyst responsibilities and put what you have done. And then after that, maybe you've done a migration project, like whatever, or an QA role. Put
Okay.
that. So now you want to put analyst role. So use what data analyst responsibilities you had in that particular section of your job
Okay.
description.
Okay.
So, in the same way, like if you are in HR, you would have done recruitment, administration, resource coordination. So,
Right.
put all those like admin duties, and then put what actual admin duties you did, and then recruiter duties. What recruitment did you do as an H? So everybody knows if you put that title correctly, and then if your job duties matches, like okay, fine, she must have done this as well in that role. It shouldn't be a problem.
Okay. Okay.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
no
Actually,
problem.
Mary, I kind of have same question. Like,
Yeah, sure.
if I upload my resume on Indeed or any other
Mm-hmm.
platforms, and I'm applying with my tailored resume for the
Mm-hmm.
positions.
Mm-hmm.
So, what if the recruiters comes along with like on Indeed and purchase my resume, which
Mm-hmm.
has different description?
Okay. So again, it depends. So let us say you are a business analyst, you're applying for a project manager role. Still, the roles, maybe your title is different, but you have done similar job duties.
Yeah.
So that should reflect there. So they should know that you're highlighting these skills, and in that job duties, actually you have worked on those responsibilities. If that doesn't match at all, then they might, like, they will not pursue. But if it matches, yes. So let me just give an example. Like you tell me what exactly did you tailor for, and what is your profile.
So like I have background in software development.
Mm-hmm.
So I was exploring for some development roles,
Mm-hmm.
and my as my recent education in Canada is business analysis.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm obviously interested in BA roles as well.
Okay.
So I'm kind of confused. Like if I upload my UX or developer resume on Indeed, and what
Mm-hmm.
if I apply for the BA roles?
Mm-hmm.
Then there is not like that much match between those two positions. For
Mm-hmm.
development developer, we have different skill sets, and
Mm-hmm.
for BA we have different skill set.
Okay.
So
So again, it depends. Like BA, you will still be applying for in an IT or anywhere, right? BA, okay.
yeah,
So like, and you don't have any BA experience at all. You're a
like
fresher for BA.
no, like in my previous experience, I worked on all the phases, so I have kind of experience, client-facing experience.
Okay.
So, but my developer
Again, that's
resume
what I
is
said.
more
You make
focused.
it into two groups. Put it as
Okay,
like management role, or like engagement role, and then you put that as BA roles, and then you put your development, what you have done exactly, that as well,
okay.
both in one particular job description.
Yeah, because every time I get, if I do get some like resume feedback, they say like do it more specific about BA, otherwise do it more specific about development.
Mhm.
So it's like confusing.
No, but if you are applying for both the roles, then your profile should show that
Reflect.
you have experience in both.
Yeah.
So fair enough. Like not everybody will be applying targeting one single role right now. Like any particular skill sets that they can explore, they will be explored, right?
Yeah.
So it's okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Uh, Hi, Mayuri. I do have one more question,
Yeah,
if you
please.
allow me to.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like as I mentioned, I
Mm-hmm.
have interest in data science domain.
Mm-hmm.
So, if I'm keeping my LinkedIn account as a data scientist skills,
Mm-hmm.
then I cannot apply for my job for my QA skill. Then how should I? Because both will contradict. But right now, due to this pandemic time, I
Mm-hmm.
want to apply for data scientist job role and for QA job role as well. So how to make a balance between LinkedIn profile so that it will not contradict if I apply for both jobs?
Okay. So one thing is you are currently working as a QA, so I would say, like, first step would be get at least a QA job. Like if you're strictly searching for, because that you have that experience, and now you're also applying for data analyst roles, right? So definitely you will start off with, like, looking for, have you worked on any migration projects? What databases have you used? Do you know SAS, SQL? Because these are the tools. It is very important for a data analyst roles. Anybody who's looking for a data analyst, they will be looking for Python, R, SQL, SAS. Do you have that? So if you have, then highlight those as well, how you have used in your particular role. So in a way, you have to find the balance. Titles shouldn't matter. You can just put it as like consultant or software consultant or analyst, software analyst, and then put in different job duties in your description. That should still hold when you're applying for two different roles.
Okay.
But highlight all the skills in your LinkedIn skills. Like there will be add skills. Add all the skills what is required for a data analyst and what you have.
Okay, sure.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So to be very like honest, LinkedIn Recruiter, when they use that LinkedIn Recruiter to search profiles, we only use skills to search. So if your skills
Okay.
are updated, then we come into the profile and then see whether your job description is matching. If skills are not updated, your profile will not come in the search at all.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, hi Mayuri. Hi, I have a question.
Yes, Sudhir, tell me.
And first of all, thank you so much for amazing session. Like it was a great experience today.
Thank you
So
so
I
much.
have a question
Mm-hmm.
regarding the application, like to crack the ATS.
Mm-hmm.
So when I apply for as a software engineer job, so I see like same kind of jobs for one particular company. Like
Mm-hmm.
if I'm applying for Amazon, so
Mm-hmm.
I see .NET developer and Java developer, website
Mm-hmm.
developer. So I have heard that when you apply for same company for different roles, so just apply for one role. So don't apply for 10 positions. So you like your resume will be like not be picked up by the ATS because it's kind of spam for
Mm-hmm.
ATS because you are showing that you are not sure where you are going for
Mm-hmm.
the job application. So yeah, so I'm a little bit confused about that thing. Like for when you apply for same company for
Mm-hmm.
different roles,
Mm-hmm.
so like you should apply for just one or just
Okay.
apply for each and every where are you interested in, or if you want to apply for like just three roles or like top three roles, something like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much.
Okay. So what happens? This generally comes when you're like targeting different roles, or if you're a graduate, you will be open for different opportunities,
Yeah,
right?
I'm in my fourth semester, so yeah, so I'm looking, so I'm going to graduate in August.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I have these kind of skill set like .NET, database, and
Mm-hmm.
Python and all. Yeah.
Okay. So definitely, what I would say is you will have at least two or three different emails. Yes.
I have just one email.
Okay. So I would definitely say create another or two emails. I would
Mm-hmm.
definitely not do not apply for more than four roles in one company. With one email, you can apply for two roles if it is like similar roles.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
So then what you can do is with one email ID, you will write your name. Okay. And in the second email ID which you're using for another two roles, I would say
Mm-hmm.
put your last name first and first name second. If it's the
Oh,
same name with other details, ATS will pick up
okay.
duplicate. Even if you change your email, it doesn't matter. It will pick up.
Okay. And
So,
thank you so much for that. And one final question
mhm.
regarding the ATS again.
Yeah.
Some people suggest like we should use PDFs and instead of a Word document for the
Mm-hmm.
like for easy to crack ATS. So is that like
I
As
don't
per you,
think
is
so.
that?
I always say use Word. It is
Mhm.
very convenient either to send it to anyone or like, I generally use Word. That's the most used format in Canada as, as far as I know.
Okay,
Not
perfect. Thank
many
you so
people
much.
prefer PDFs.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Yeah.
Mayuri, just one last question.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
We you were talking about skills right now.
Yeah.
Now there are two kinds of skills, technical and soft skills,
Mm-hmm.
and both are important and mentioned in a job description.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to ask you,
Mm-hmm.
where should we mention our technical and soft skills? So, soft skills like they have mentioned curiosity, humble, work ethic, entrepreneurship, uh, all these words. These
I
are
would.
and yeah, and their technical skills like your SQL, Tableau, Power
Mhm.
BI.
Yeah.
So, should they be included together, separately, and where?
Okay. So I would definitely say soft skills you can't directly put in those words somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
But with the technical skills, yes, of course, you'll have a column like just a section where you put technical skill set, and you will use like databases which you have used or languages what you know, and also the other tools like Microsoft Office, Project, Word, Excel. So all these should be mentioned, always mentioned. And when in your experience you have to explain, like let's say you have created a report using Excel, and what happened after creating the report, you submitted or published it somewhere, or you reported it to your business leaders, and that led for them to make some decisions. So
Okay.
this is how you show your soft skills, that you're communicating to your business leaders, your subordinates, clients. So that shows your soft skills. Technical
Mhm.
skills will be there on, but I generally don't recommend putting directly curious or like good interpersonal skills, communication skills, strong leadership qualities. Show it. If you say strong leadership qualities, have you led a team of something? Have you led a project? Even be it in college. Some mention it somewhere like, you've led a project of so and so and so.
Okay. Okay. Thank you
Yeah,
so much.
no problem.
It was very helpful.
I'd like to interject now because we are we are over time, big time. Um, does anybody have any urgent questions that they need answered by Mayuri?
Or else you can always drop in the question in my LinkedIn. You might not receive the response immediately, but within a day or two, for sure.
Unless you're a Destination CEO
Yes,
participant, because Destination CEO participants,
yes,
Mayuri is a Destination CEO um, mentor.
yeah.
So she is extremely helpful and, immediately jumps
Please do mention
at
that
our
in your
request.
message,
Thank you.
because I have received few messages without it, so get confused. If you're a Destination CEO member and reaching out, please do mention that. Even if you have mentioned it some other time, we have spoken, but still, every time you message, mention it. For
Yes,
anyone, it will be good.
yeah, because she gets a lot of messages. Do you understand? And Mayuri's success story, also Mayuri being a newcomer herself. Mayuri, 3 years now in Canada. How long have you been in Canada?
2 years, not even two.
2 years.
Yeah.
Mayuri came to Canada 2 years ago. We met, I think, October last year or September last year. Mayuri was a participant of Destination CEO, and then she found her mentor through Destination CEO program, and she found her first job, and she's always been giving back, helping everybody in the community. So Mayuri, I cannot thank you enough for being our mentor and being always here, and also helping so many of the participants get employed. So thank you so much for your time. Really
Thank,
appreciate it.
thank you, Meena. Thank you for the opportunity for for my journey to change from being a mentee to mentor. I'm like, everybody, you should know you're in real good hands with Meena and her team. Everybody is so supportive, even with their such a busy schedules. mentors do come forward, help you in whatever way they can. Because I know my mentor Sayali was traveling the time when I had interviews scheduled. She even then on phone she did my mock interviews, she helped me to tune my answers, which is really important to have those interview sessions with your mentors. It will give you that boost of confidence. That was a make or break for my interview as well. I always say that, without which maybe it would have taken some more time, but that was a booster for mine. Just 10 minutes, again, like, an hour or so before my interview session, I had a call with Sayali. Luckily, I got a call, and then, like, it happened.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayuri. And yeah, when the borders were open and Biju had his travel schedule, he has even gone to India and met with our participants in India. So, just because you're in India doesn't mean we cannot serve you. Now, with everything being virtual, we don't even have to travel. You can connect literally every day, anytime, right? Um, so thank you, Mayuri, for your time. I know we went a lot overboard.
Okay.
I have one question to Meena ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So if there's no other questions, if you all have
Okay,
one-on-one with
let's.
Meena, I'll
Yeah,
drop out.
thank
Thank you
you,
so much, Meena, for this opportunity. Have a great weekend, guys. Stay
and
safe.
you too. Thank you so
Thank
much, Mayuri.
thank you,
Thank you.
Thank
Mayuri.
you ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayuri. Yeah.
Bye
Thank
bye.
Have a
you.
good
Thank
weekend.
you,
Take
Mayuri.
care.
You too.
So I wanted to, I'll answer your questions. I'm not in a rush. The other thing also is for those of you that want to take advantage of our special pricing, please stay back and I can answer those questions as well. I'd like to go through that. If you have to go or you've already left and you're watching this pre-recorded version, then please know that tomorrow at 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, we do have an orientation about the program, and the program does start with a boot camp on Tuesday this coming week, which is June 2nd, right? And we do have a lot of things planned for our June cohort, and I'm really excited for all of you. This is most likely the last free webinar masterclass that we're offering. Um, we may come back, but as you know, we have a lot to do. We do come online Mondays with Meena on LinkedIn Live and YouTube Live. So if you're not subscribed, please subscribe to our YouTube session. Sometimes LinkedIn gives us a lot of technical difficulties, so we may not be hosting it on LinkedIn. We may just do it on YouTube. So Mondays with Meena. Tomorrow is going to be, Monday is going to be a rocking show because there is a lot of discrimination that's going on. And as you can see, I don't know how many of you noticed that when we had those intrusions in the beginning, the first person that actually intruded with that nigger thing, she had her webcam on, and it was an Asian person doing nigger, and you know, they kind of knows that there's a lot of hate that's going around with what's happening, be it coronavirus or those killings that are happening in US and Canada. So I am bringing to everybody tomorrow's Monday's show is going to be a 1 hour show with Dean Delpish on LinkedIn Live and YouTube Live. I want everybody that has these questions about discrimination, diversity to join in and meet leaders like Dean and talk about what's bothering you, be it lack of Canadian experience, be it racism, be it, whatever it is that you're facing it. And, there's a lot worse that's happening in this world than no Canadian experience. I mean, I've been through that journey and I'll be sharing a part of it as well. For those of you that want to leave, you can leave. For those of you that have questions for me, you can stay. For those of you that want to know a little bit about our special pricing and packages, please stay back and I can tell you, or you can join in tomorrow. Okay, so thanks to DCO participants. If you want to stay, stay. If you want to go, you can go. I
Thank
love
Bye,
you
you.
guys.
Meena.
See
Thank
you guys
you.
on Tuesday
Yes.
with a
See
lot
you.
of work and
Thank
plan.
you.
Yeah.
Thank
So
you,
bye,
guys.
Meena. I'll
Bye,
Bye.
connect
Meena.
on
Bye.
WhatsApp, inshallah. Yeah.
Yes, inshallah. Take
Thank you,
care.
Bye.
Meena.
You take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Yes, Simran Jokes, you had a question.
Yeah, I wanted to know about this June cohort. What is this? And I'm sorry, but I did not like check the what is this destination CEO before coming here. So can you
Yep,
explain me about what this company does, or does it helps in recruiting? And I mean,
yep,
I want to know.
of course. Anybody else has any other questions besides the program? You can unmute yourself and ask me. No? Okay. Is everybody still here or it's just Simran and I? You guys have your webcam switched off, so I don't know who's here. Okay, Jadip's here. Misha, you're here too. All
I'm
right.
here as well.
Hello, hello. Okay. Let's let me tell you what Destination CEO is. So in oh, hang on a second. First